What's up, guys? Welcome to Eye on Market. This is the first inaugural edition of this series that we're going to be premiering on the channel. And essentially what it is just going to be my take on Market Watch. I know a lot of people do it. I've always sort of been interested. I watch a lot of the Market Watches across most of YouTube for Yu-Gi-Oh! And even for Pokemon, Digimon. I think it's really cool to keep up with and follow the trends and the data of all the prices, and I think that's an interesting thing. In the meantime, I've been investing a little bit on the side, picking up small things. For transparency purposes, anything that I talk about in these videos, of course, I'm not giving you necessarily financial advisement of any kind. If you want to go out and buy things of your own accord, be sure that you're making decisions that are reasonable, that you can afford, and that you're making them because it's a decision you're confident in. I do think there's a place to discuss the market and to sort of look at trends, but I also don't necessarily like when YouTubers directly influence the market by saying, oh, go buy this card out. I think that causes a lot of artificial hype and inflation, and I just don't think it's a good practice. So I'm not going to give that disclaimer every time I make one of these videos, but I'm just putting it out there to say, like, this is just something I do for fun. I've been looking at stuff. I mean, the market's going crazy. Anyone that's been playing this or Pokemon or any combination knows that, like, just cards in general are just going up, and it's so hard to tell from one day to the next what's actually going to have value. So, again, it's just something I want to do for fun. I'm going to try to take a look at some things that maybe don't appear on your more mainstream market watches, but we'll also cover things that are just, you know, needing to be talked about, if you will, through that. So without further ado, let's jump into the video. All right, so starting off, I'm just taking a look at the overall best-selling page for Yu-Gi-Oh! On TCG Player. I don't know how frequently this updates. I would imagine it's real-time, so anytime anything sells, it gets reflected, and then it would update. I don't know the exact structure, and a lot of this stuff that you see up here with best-selling, I mean, these are really high-end things. I don't imagine that people are buying a ton of these, so I don't even know exactly how they're formulating that, that best-selling price. But obviously, if you look at high to low, that's going to show those, whereas this is going to show best-selling. So I don't know what they... All right, so we're going to start off by looking at best-selling. I like to come over here and look at this, you know, a couple times a week just to sort of watch trends. This is showing, like, the top of the top, you know, what's selling more than anything else on market. And I don't know if they use quantity sold or value sold for to determine this. Obviously, those are two super different things because, you know, if 5 Pot of Prosperity sell for $500, but somebody buys, you know, 1,000 of a card that's like 5 cents, I mean, what determines best selling? But anyway, I like to sort of just see what the trendy sales are on the market, what the biggest moving cards are on the market. I mean, since I popped these tabs up to start this video, there was an Ice Dragon's Prison up for $45 that's now gone. So they do move a lot. I would imagine it updates relatively frequently. These top 5 are not surprising at all. Prosperity is just one of those cards that, like, is going to be good as the game progresses. It will be better and better. It's safe from the Megatins, so there's no reason to think this is going to be reprinted anytime soon. And this set is not good, to be honest. So it's just one of those things where it's like, if you want Prosperity, you're going to end up having to shell out for it or just get super lucky with pulls. But I definitely do not recommend buying Blazing Vortex unless A, you're doing it just for fun to open, or B, you can get really good prices. And I don't necessarily consider 60 to be a good price on that. And of course, Zeus just keeps going up. Droplet, Tactics. These are all prime candidates for the Megatins. If I had to guess, I would say 2 out of these 3 are going to be in the Megatins, and 1 will be left out. I don't know which one. I just imagine that they're going to be cautious about how top-heavy they make those, especially because Lightning Storm will probably be in there as well. Nadir Servant feels like it's one that could get saved for a later product, but I'm not really sure what they're going to do. I mean, we've never had Megatins lined up this strong, where we're looking at it and saying, okay, like, are they going to leave cards out, or are they just going to throw everything in there, and this can be the best product release ever? And that'll be interesting to see how that goes. So obviously, Ice Dragon's Prison, like, this is an insane card. You can't say enough good things about it. But it is also potentially up for reprint. Being an Ultra, it could easily be a secret rare in the Megatins, and this price will drop just based on existence. And then, of course, just kind of rounding out our top 10 here, we've got Chamber Dragon, Made Access Code Talker, Magician Souls. Again, prime candidate for Legendary Duelist Season 3, and these guys are, you know, a possible reprints in the Megatins. I would be shocked if Chamber Dragon Maid wasn't in the Megatins, and Probably same for Access Code Talker. But realistically speaking, for the 7 or 8 cards on the screen here that are super high value and super high demand right now that are Megatin eligible, I would expect at least, 85% of them to appear in the Megatin. So you got to play for yourself to see what may miss and if you can actually get a decent return on it. Dragoon, of course, is here too. I don't see a reprint for this in sight, but maybe they'll put it as a secret rare in the Megatins or a promo. Would be cool. Again, it just feels like it's silly to do that because they could use this to sell a future product. So maybe King's Court. I saw House of Champs on his Market Watch talk about this possibly being in King's Court as a collector rare. Just complete speculation, but that'd be a really cool feature that they could do, a really cool addition. So, and then you round out, obviously Anaconda's going up. We could sit here and go through this stuff forever, but you guys know for the most part, every once in a while something pops up on best selling though that you really didn't expect to see. And so I usually will just check it and look at the trends. But we're not really here to focus on that specifically today. We're going to take a look at, in order, a couple of recent buyouts. This one, I think, has been covered a bit. Speedroid Domino Butterfly. I don't want to toot my own horn, but I did mention this in one of my first videos when I came back last week. I said, pick this up. There were a lot of copies at that point. I think 2930 copies. It's gone now, right? There's 8 copies left, and after a moderately played one, the cheapest you're going to get them at is 7. Will this do anything? I don't know. But it's, we don't know the specifics of the Legendary Duelist set yet. This recycles any banished wind monster. So, in and of itself, it's essentially a continuous spell that can get your stuff back, plus a tuner. I said to grab this card. I picked some up myself. My roommate picked some up as well, actually. And I know some other people who have just been going after them. But to see it actually come to fruition that quickly is really kind of interesting. The cheapest copy on market at this point is $9. So if you really, the most expensive copy, is $9. So if you really wanted to go on and scoop the rest of these, you could. But you'd have to educate for yourself whether or not that was a smart decision. And obviously I'd avoid the moderately played one because that just seems silly. But will this pan out? It's the best chance of a Speedroid card other than Terratop, which is an ulti, to actually do anything. And I would say, I don't know, just keep an eye out. See if you want one, your opportunities to get one here at a relatively decent price are pretty much gone. But I'd say probably 7 is okay. You're not taking a huge loss there. So 7's probably the way to go. Next one I'm noticing really low quantities on is Ghost Spell in Haunted Mansion, the alternate art. So it obviously has 2. It was in Dual Devastator with this artwork, but also Maximum Gold. There are 42 listings of this left. I know the card itself has seen a lot of play, especially as an effective counter to Drytron, among other things, even Eldritch, which can recover stuff from Grave. So it's a good card to have. It does come secret rare. I don't know if you'd consider the premium gold rare to be like the second highest rarity beyond the secret. I guess that's really personal preference. But quantities are disappearing off the market of this particular one, and there are not too many sellers with duplicates until you hit a guy that's got 15 of them, but he's charging 6 a pop there. So there's a chance that this could slowly but surely move off the market. I just thought it was interesting to note. Alternatively, the other Ghost Spell, which is the standard art, had 60 results, so there's more quantity here. But again, it's, upwards of $4 for the cheapest near mints, and there are not too many duplicates. You got people with 1, 2, 3, but they're single copies. If somebody wants to clear this out, it'll get pretty dicey pretty quick. So if you want those and you want the gold specifically, you could probably get the Dual Devastators cheaper. So just kind of pick and choose, but I just wanted to at least bring some awareness to it because I think it's interesting to see it kind of disappearing off the market like that. Now another one, this one I can tell you I'm out on. Speedroid Card Turbo Ultra, the cheapest near mint first edition is going to be $7. This is in Rise of the Duelist, guys, and this is a prime card that could be like a super or a common with ease. This is not going to sell a set on its own. There's really no reason to think that they're going to leave it out of anything. It's a decent card, but the restrictions are pretty tight, especially because if you use its effective special itself, you're locked into wind monster effects, whereas some of the other ones are like you can't special except for wind, so that key wording there is different. I know Rise of the Duelist is a set that everyone's just going to go crazy after because of what it is, and it was shorted, but just keep in mind, yes, it's getting bought out, but this is almost certainly going to be in the Megatins, and I would not spend $8 a piece on this, especially not knowing any of the support, unless you just wanted to complete a sealed collection or something. I would avoid this one like the plague, in my personal opinion. I think anything from Rise of the Duelist, unless it's like a staple card like Tactics or something that you need to play in the Remote Duel YCS or some of those other events that are coming up, obviously in that case you're kind of fucked. If you want them to play, you're going to need to spend the money on them because it doesn't look like they're going down. But I would not invest in Rise of the Duelist cards at this price, knowing the Megatins on the horizon and knowing that this card has no reason to be withheld for future sets. Go Sage with Eyes of Blue. A lot of quantities for the Ultras, but Battles of Legends specifically, the secret rare is disappearing. 31 results, the lowest being $11.26. We know we're getting Blue Eyes support in the Megatins. That was confirmed more or less. They haven't said anything about what it is, if it's going to be directly for Blue Eyes, but they did say in the product description that we will be getting some kind of Blue Eyes support. So that's just food for thought. Just be aware that it's possible, and if you want Blue Eyes stuff, I mean, Sage is definitely a great card. And to be honest, I personally like the Battles of Legend one the best. Legendary Collection Kaiba foils tend to warp a little bit if they're exposed to significant temperature, but they look almost identically nice. I know some people prefer the Battles of Legend one. I don't know what you consider highest rarity. For what it's worth, the original rarity, Shining Victories, is still here and in pretty readily available quantities, so if you go for original. But, yeah, Secret Rare is disappearing faster than I would have expected, but this is still pretty hefty in quantities, so anyone looking to clear anything out is going to be in a tough spot. The other thing to note, though, is there is only first editions of this, but Light's Revenge did not get a secondary run, so there are no unlimiteds like there are with Legendary Collection Kaiba, where that, you know, a lot of these are near mint unlimiteds, and I think when you get into First Ed, you're hitting around the same price, so just bringing your attention to that. I think Blue Eyes stuff as a whole, you're going to see people start to go after that quite a bit more in the coming weeks, just as the prices continue to kind of reflects the overall hype for the player base. So last one on the buyout side of things, Cosmic Cyclones. This is secret rare from Battle City. I understand the Battle City box is just going haywire. All the promos are going up. I mean, you see the bottom of the screen, Nobleman, Breaker. This is not even an accurate price. I think the cheapest on this is like $19.99 for the Rhoda, and it was like $35 at one point. I mean, this has 3 secret rare prints. It doesn't have a Speed Duel stamp. I guess if that's a deal breaker for you. For what it's worth, I do think the Speed Duel one looks pretty nice. I have some, and I like them, but like I wasn't thrilled to pull them out of the box, and it definitely feels like a lower... If you're going to invest money in stuff from Battle City box, I would think the retro legacy cards like Breaker and Nobleman and Air Knight, Parashath, Rhoda have more long-term return, but you do you. This was like $5 last week and is up to $9, $10, and seemingly just disappearing. So food for thought. You want this in Secret Rare, though. There are cheaper copies you can get from the Megatins. There's also Ultras and Commons and everything else, so I would not panic buy. Pivoting now to some cards that seem low and I just kind of wanted to bring attention to, and even tanky now, because when I was looking at this earlier, it wasn't that high. It looks like they're getting to this one too, so we're on the fringe, I guess. It works as a transition. $7.50 for the lowest near mint First Ed. And there's another one here from somebody with $7. So this guy's got 100% feedback, but 34 sales. You know, newer seller, probably trying to make a quick sale. These disappear pretty fast too, though, and no one has duplicate quantities of them. So if you buy, if all these disappear, I mean, you're looking at $10 plus. Tanky has multiple secret rare prints. It was in Fists of the Gadgets as a secret rare as well. Super popular card. It's always going to be used in certain things. Beast Warriors is just generally a good card. But I was going to say, if you're looking at stuff in Speed Duel, this is relatively cheap, but I must have sort of misled myself on this price, because this is a bit higher than I would be wanting to pay for this one. But again, if you like the Speed Duel foiling, if you like the way they look, $7.50 at the cheapest. I mean, you get a playset here for $27. Depends. I mean, it's really whether or not you want them, whether or not you prefer this to the Fist of the Gadgets one. I didn't even think about that one, so I didn't have anything pulled up for it, but I guess since we're here, Fist of the Gadgets one, just to compare the price, is about $6 and change. I mean, same deal with a lot of them not having duplicate listings, so you're going to have to shop around if you want a play set of secret tankies, but obviously there's commons that are available for less, and gold rares, even though they're disgusting, but there's tankies you can get if you want them, is ultimately the point. Lost Wind, so far, has not been touched, but it's not exactly like penny stocks either, per se. $1.99, guys got 20 of them here, that's, you know, net you about, you know, let's just say $2.75 a piece. I don't know. I think there's better cards than Lost Wind, but if the trend of people just looking for shit in this box set to scoop out of the promos continues, this could be another one. So you want to take a gamble and pick up a play set at $8 or whatever that maths out to. It's there, just to be aware of it. The one I think is kind of a bargain is this Dark Magician. So the Secret Dark Magician, I don't love the tablet artwork. I know it's not the most popular artwork among fans in general, but the tablet artwork Dark Magician is $6. We have seen pretty much everything else in this Speed Duel box start to move. It just feels cheap. Chow Productions has 110 of them, so that's going to put a big gap on any price spikes, and Yu-Gi-Oh! Daily's got 144, so you'll be safe for a while if you want to get these. I don't think you have to worry necessarily right away. Just something to think about down the line. I mean, $6, it's Dark Magician. If you like the card, you want to collect it, you want to have just every printing of Dark Magician, or you like it in general, it's there, and it's relatively affordable for what it is. I wish it had been the OG art, but we're getting that as a ghost rare, so that'll be cool. Just, this is relatively cheap, considering the trends we're seeing from other stuff in the Speed Duel Battle City box, and I think once stuff starts to get too high, and they look to pivot and say, well, what other stuff can we scoop up, you might see this. But again, you got those big roadblocks there, I think are going to go ahead and make that pretty tricky. Same with Red Eyes. Red Eyes Black Dragon Secret Rare is $6.64 at the cheapest. Yu-Gi-Oh! Daily's got 12 of them. I don't know if Chow Productions is maybe on the next page or if he just doesn't have any. He may have none. No, he doesn't. So this one's disappearing quick. A lot faster than their Dark Magician. $8.95 at the cheapest. Again, it's an alternate artwork. People are not always huge fans, but just be aware that it's there and be aware that we're seeing these trends with these Battle City cards. If you like it and you want it just for your own personal collection, I would say get it now. If you think, solely just for value purposes, I wouldn't expect some kind of nutty, insane, sustainable climb, but if you want one, I would say get it at $6.50 so you have it and you don't have to worry about paying $20 for it later when they decide this is going to be the next target of the buyouts. So yeah, it's pretty low. Searing Firewall, that's one that I really like with the Laval hype. We talked about that in the return video. It's definitely like a neat card, and it has very few restrictions, so it can allow you to further extend so much. Dual Terminal, the Shattered Glass is not the best look, but it's better than the Supers for sure. Dual Terminal's got 13 results. There are people with large quantities, like very large quantities, so be aware. You don't have any real panic reason to go out and grab these, but if you want a play set of them, if Laval interests you, these are relatively affordable and low in quantity. The super rares are not incredibly high in quantity at 81 listings, but again, I don't think the super rares are in jeopardy of being bought out. Though, for what it's worth, as we go through, it does seem like if people did end up wanting to buy that out, they could clear it pretty quick, because no one has more than, 14 copies of it. So, just a really, really cheap card, and more importantly, this is not a card I would go buy out, but it is a card that you might want to grab if you're interested in playing Laval, because with the new support, I think it becomes a lot better. Speaking of Laval, same with Dragon, really solid card. Its Dual Terminal Ultra is the highest rarity. You play one in the deck, it's decent. Pretty much allows you to get over stuff with non-destroying removal while also sort of refueling your deck. $4 for Near Mint Ultra. Again, just if you want to play the deck, I would have it. The secret rares are less, but they're not as nice and they're not highest rarity. So even those, though, relatively low in quantity, right? 37 listings and 20 listings. It's going to be Ultra and Ghost from the Past, so you're not going to see a spike or really any kind of jump on the secret rare. But the Ultra, if the deck does anything, could potentially go up in the future, so it could be good to have. Handmaiden Dual Terminal is the only one I would recommend looking into. There's lots of quantities of that on the market in terms of number that sellers have. But there's only 13 sellers, and some of them only have one. So I personally did buy this one to be transparent because I fully plan on building the deck, and I thought it would be just good to have long-term. I've always thought this was a decent card. It has good synergy with a lot of stuff, and of course missing the timing is hindrance, but that's okay. So Handmaiden's pretty good. It's cheap. This is more so targeted toward people that are interested in the deck at all or any deck utilizing the engine, but it could be a decent return in the future if Laval were to do anything. Don't forget they also have additional support coming out beyond just what's in the Ghost from the Past. And lastly, in the retro look for today, I was taking a look at Dark Beginning 2 because I actually picked up some Dark Beginning cards the other day, and it's really interesting. This seems to be on the fringe of becoming another, not retro pack, but Dark Legends style set, although this was more commonly found for a while. There's just not a lot of quantities, and there's not a lot of cheap stuff for pretty much anything. You take a look at Aeronite Parasheth Super Rare, which is not as high rare. I mean, there's a couple of alternate high rarities of this, right? Like the LOD Ultra, the Secret Rare from Battle City. But the near mints are about $20. People like these DB1, DB2 sets. You've seen it with Dark Revelation. just overall low quantities, things starting to go up. I thought that, and it seems like the market price is 30, so you're looking at below market if you were going to grab one near mint. Again, not the largest of quantities, but that was just one for an example. Same with Don Zalug, another super rare. If you like super better than ultra, if you're just preferential to the DB/DR sets, this is about 19 and change per lightly played, $20 for near mint. For GOAT or retro formats, it does have an ultra print in a speed duel set, so there is some choice there. But just be aware that in terms of trends we're seeing with Dark Beginning, Dark Revelation sets, this is not super pricey where it could be as legacy cards tend to go. And lastly, my pick of the week, or whatever you want to call it, pick of the day, I don't know, is Speed Lift. This is super rare. In the Tin of Lost Memories, I did see someone else reference this on another Market Watch video in the comment section. I wish I remember the name because I would give credit to them. This one was not my idea, but the more I look at it, the more I really on board with the idea of this being a decent card. In other words, if you control exactly one tuner and no other monsters, special summon a level 4 or lower Speedroid from the deck, neither player can activate cards or effects when that monster is summoned. So in other words, you can't use Terratop with it, but there are plenty of Speedroids that activate Engrave and potential new support as well. It was a common that got reprinted as a super in the Megatin, so it's the only foil print, and they are dirt cheap, like penny stock, dirt cheap. Even if you're not 100% sold on the idea, I mean, you're looking at spending less than $1 to grab a playset, and it does seem like a card that could be really solid in the deck. It's also not a hard once per turn. So if for some reason you make your play, they stop it, or your field gets nuked or whatever, you can play another one, you can utilize it, it's a quick play. There's a lot of fun combos you can do, and your opponent can't respond to your monster being summoned either, so you do have that going for it. So my pick of the day, Speed Lift, super rare. This is the one I would say is kind of a risk-free grab because of how cheap it actually is. You may even have some in bulk if you cracked open Megatins, so definitely take a look at that one and see if it kind of works to what you guys are interested in. But I personally plan on grabbing some of these just because it feels like worst case scenario, I have some extras, and best case scenario, they end up going up to like $3-4. So that's going to do it for the first episode of Eye on Market. Let me know what you guys think of the formatting. I'm going to probably try to tweak it a bit as we go forward, but I always wanted to get into doing the Market Watch thing just in a little bit of a different way. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. Please like and subscribe for more, and I will see you next time at Eye on Market.